One.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Injective YouTube live stream. My name is Hannah. I'm part of the Injective Protocol team. I'm excited to welcome today's guests. We have Orion Protocol co-founder Alexei here, 1inch Network co-founder Sergej, and Injective co-founder Eric. So thanks so much for joining us today, guys. Let's start things off by having our guests introduce themselves. We'll start with you, Alexei, and then move on to Sergej and Eric.
Yeah, hey everyone. I'm Alexei, CEO of Orion Protocol. My background spans the two worlds of traditional finance and DeFi. I started my journey in crypto space in 2016 as a creator of Waves DEX. Prior to this, I spent several years creating software for the global international banks such as Deutsche Bank and UniCredit. Now I'm incredibly proud to be leading Orion Protocol team in developing what we believe will be the future of finance and trading. Orion Protocol integrate major centralized exchanges, decentralized exchanges, swap pools into one decentralized platform. And we are creating gateway to the digital asset markets. So with our mainnet launch recently, just 6 days ago, we're just getting started, and integral to our success is establishing strong partnerships like with injective protocols and our partners. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks,
I will take
Alexei.
over.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Sergey from Germany, but originally born in Russia, in Siberia, deepest Siberia. So my technical background is software engineering, about 15 years, software architecture, and also security. I started with my co-founder to participate in all the hackathons around the globe back in 2018. And we participated on more than 15 hackathons around the globe. And one of those hackathons, we have built the 1inch aggregation protocol, which we developed in a part-time over 1.5 years until we reached a level where we were able to collect the first financial round for our team and closed 3 months later than a second round. Altogether, we collected around $40 million to build on the 1inch network, which was started last year in a Christmas night. Yeah, the 1inch token was released with from the 1inch Foundation. And the whole network was launched by having multiple protocols already included and starting with the instant governance. So that's to my person now.
Great, and Eric, well, I guess we can move along to the next question. Oh, Eric, your turn.
Hey guys, it's Eric from Injective Protocol. And so Injective is a fully decentralized derivatives exchange. I've been working on Injective since around 2018, and it's been an incredible journey.
Awesome, thanks so much, guys. Orion, 1inch, and Injective have all released incredible news lately with regards to their products. So big congratulations across the board. Alexei, the Orion terminal mainnet was successfully launched, and it sounds like traffic has been phenomenal. So I'd like to hear more about the mainnet and what's coming up next for the platform.
Yeah, with the crazy starts, actually, we had hundreds of thousands of visitors to our terminal within seconds. So yeah, it was a huge milestone for us. And our launch actually was the first industry first, because we first who provided decentralized access to centralized liquidity. Users can access, for example, Binance, KuCoin, BitMEX liquidity directly from their MetaMask, for example. And we're incredibly pleased with the volume so far, even outperforming some DEXs already. and continue for sure developing our terminal through adding more liquidity, more evolving our broker network, adding new assets, new pairs, and more features to our terminal. Over the course of this year, we plan to introduce NFT, lending, margin trading, so many other products and features to our protocol, and of course staking of digital assets, which will be integrated in our terminal through partners like Injective. Our next major milestone is mainnet staking and another product that we will announce really soon. So yeah, stay tuned. Yes, staking is very hot topics right now. So sure we are also include this in our protocol. And the important part that we are not inflating our token. Our token kept, and we generate rewards from transaction fee on the protocol. Each solutions that we are building or products actually provide increased rewards for our stakers.
Awesome, thanks, Alexei. Sergej, last month, the 1-inch aggregation protocol V3 was released to the public. What are some of the major highlights with respect to this new version?
Yeah, actually, it was a small upgrade of the version 2. Most of the time, we were waiting for the results of the audits, since audits are very important in the DeFi space. Yeah, actually, small upgrade for our router, which is able to reduce the gas cost compared to Uniswap router by 10%. This is huge, so that makes no sense anymore to trade somewhere directly on small upgrade of the version 2. Alexei, can you mute? Maybe I hear myself.
Oh, sorry.
So nowadays it makes no sense directly to swap on Uniswap. Like on the version 2, we had small overhead and it was like on a high gas cost visible, like everywhere on all the other aggregators. And yeah, nowadays we reduce the gas cost by 10%. It's actually a lot if you look at the price of Ethereum right now and the gas costs in the network. We improved also small parts of the execution of the complex rules which our API delivers. So yeah, that's it about V3.
Great. Eric, Injective recently released Equinox staking to the public. It has received amazing feedback with over $20 million staked in the first 2 days alone. Could you tell us more about next steps in this process and how does this lead into our upcoming mainnet?
Yeah, I think that's one of the most exciting aspects about this decentralized testnet is that basically we get to kind of really stress test our chain and overall kind of test out the entire governance and every single kind of, relatively speaking, boring components of the injective protocol, and really have the community engage beyond just the trader kind of users, to basically have them kind of shift away the attention from the trading front and more towards kind of like securing the underlying consensus, helping with the governance, and making sure that Injective is a exchange-focused single kind of like application-specific chain.
Okay, so now for the elephant in the room. Many individuals in this space assume that DEXs are constantly competing against one another. Would you say that this statement is accurate, or are there ways for DEXs and for you guys to work together moving forward? Let's start with Sergej and then move to Alexei and Eric.
Yeah, that's true that the DEXs or DeFi projects compete with each other, like Uniswap with SushiSwap. Based on this competition, that SushiSwap just forked Uniswap. Uniswap team introduced a V3 business license, which is, from a point of view, not really cool because they stay for decentralized organization and open source. And they introduce as a kind of centralized piece of code with a business license where everyone who touch it or deploy it have to pay license fees for that, and that's not really cool. So yeah, competition is for sure there. Regarding us as a one-inch network and the aggregation protocol, for us it makes no sense to compete with anyone, since the aggregation protocol aggregate everything. So everything what is out there, and it can be also not secure source for the direct usage, but the one-inch aggregation protocol ensure that the user get what the user expected to get. And because of that, we were able to integrate around 49 liquidity sources on Ethereum, and in Binance Smart Chain we are around 14. And for sure, it's not really good to have the liquidity distributed, but this is how it is. There are a lot of incentives on several platforms. Also, one-inch liquidity protocol have right now incentives to collect enough liquidity, to provide better rates, collect more fees on the liquidity protocol, but aggregators are a layer above, and like Google, like if you're looking for a web page, you don't look in other registers or I don't know, lists of community lists of websites. You're just using aggregator, which finds the best kind of a website, or maybe an airplane ticket, cheapest one, or maybe a hotel room.
Yeah, actually we quite similar to one-inch, so because we also aggregate. So simply say we are not, and we always say this, we are not compete with each other. We just complete some solutions. And to be honest, there is room for everyone in this space yet in crypto. So competition sometimes healthy, because it makes us work harder, but there's every room. There is room for improvements, for making our space more efficient. And for example, regarding us, we plan to aggregate the whole market in one place. We have partnership with many projects in the space that at one side can be seen as competitors, from centralized exchanges to decentralized, but again we combining, we competing, some features providing users maybe with some additional functionality which doesn't exist in another platform. We all have the same goal here, eventually, with building sustainable future of DeFi. In my opinion, the path forward to true decentralized finance can only be done through collaboration. So DeFi projects and traditional entities, can work together to this goal.
Yeah, I think just in general for DEXs, there shouldn't really be competition, especially with the kind of popularity of aggregators and those who kind of collect liquidity from all different platforms, because every single DEX platform out there, at least, has a different incentive mechanism, has a different exchange mechanism. For example, 0x Matcha API has kind of like an RFQ system, like a Uniswap has, the AMM model. SushiSwap is an interesting case because even though, they technically copied a Uniswap for the key exchange mechanism, they did innovate quite a lot in terms of token economics and the way they incentivize liquidity, right? And some people might argue that Uniswap kind of like borrowed the token economic from SushiSwap in a sense, although I'm sure they kind of came up with it in parallel anyways. So I think like DEXs in general, the space is way too young to be competitive, and liquidity, it really isn't. DEX liquidity and just in general like DeFi liquidity is kind of the tip of the iceberg compared to greater crypto liquidity, and also even in a broader sense traditional finance liquidity. And I think basically right now, there are plenty of room for innovation in terms of, how the pricing structure should work, how the slippage tolerance, and how to best optimize for the best, capital allocation. So I think, overall, there are a lot of innovation to be done. Like, for example, Injective focuses on derivatives. We do like a fully decentralized derivative order book, and then that's fairly unique. And are we really copying the traditional order book model? That's a really too broad of a question to ask.
Got you. Orion and 1inch both work on exchange aggregation, but I know that you guys are approaching this process a bit differently. Could you explain how you think your protocols differ, and what user bases are you trying to reach initially? Alexei, we can start with you.
Alex.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. 1inch has done an incredible job to becoming the leading DEX aggregator. While we are decentralized, we don't see ourselves as a DEX aggregator. The majority of liquidity is still held on centralized exchanges. And we know that these centralized entities create some risk in terms of ownership of assets and many others that we all know pretty well. So our initial goal was to provide decentralized access to centralized liquidity on interface more similar to SEX, to centralized exchange. Today, user can access liquidity on Binance, as I already said, KuCoin and Ascendex, and more others on Orion terminal. We plan to keep developing and include major DEXs also to our protocol, DEXs and swap pools, to ensure that users receive the best price from all available sources. So maybe this is a major difference. Also, arbitrage opportunities that exist across different exchanges can be also utilized on Orion Protocol. And as I mentioned earlier, our platform, our trading platform, trading terminal, is just is only one solution, one product that can be built on the protocol. We're also working on other products on top of Orion Protocol, including NFT aggregator, Launchpad liquidity solution, Price Oracle, liquidity boost plugin, DEX kit, and other. So and all of this generate rewards for Orion stakers. Will generate rewards for Orion stakers.
Yeah, from my side, I can say we are not quite different from our point of view, since we aggregate on Ethereum. Yes, we aggregate also on Binance Smart Chain, but we also have integrated private market makers, which actually doing the same, and what Orion is doing right now by offering access to centralized exchange. It's happening on our side through market maker independent teams who offer sometimes also better prices than on centralized exchanges. So of course, from our side, we could do the same. Our algorithm can actually work with anything, really anything. We can. We have some prototypes where we're aggregating also Binance, Hobby, and some other exchanges, Coinbase Pro. But it's actually a lot of work, and you're if you're offering this service, you need a financial license. And if you offer a kind of a centralized matching bot or matching system, like it was with Ether Delta, you will get troubles for sure in USA. There was a case with Ether. What was that? Ether swap, something like that. Those guys got a lot of problems because they had a centralized matching system, and we should avoided by building DeFi. Yeah, avoid problems with regulators. And we, from our side, we try to build a fully decentralized network with several protocols. Yes, we started with aggregation protocol we introduced last year. Also the high efficient AMM, automated market maker. We called it just because of fun, Mooniswap. Wrote a small white paper. Actually, it took like 1 week development and 2 weeks or 1.5 weeks of waiting for the audits. And we solved a couple of problems. With the aggregation protocol, we solved the problem that there are a lot of liquidity distributed among several, or maybe a lot of sources. We combine all liquidity pools into a single one, so everyone has since May 2019 access to bigger liquidity from several places. And with the MM, we introduced front-running protection. So there was a post on Twitter I have seen. One guy analyzed a front runner who earned a lot by front running people on Uniswap. So they just swap before you and swap after you, and get your maximum price impact, what you set in the front end. So for example, 1%. So by introducing virtual balances in AMM, we were able to remove this thing that no one can front run anymore on our 1-inch liquidity protocol. And December last year, we introduced a kind of small upgrade and we rebrand to 1-inch liquidity protocol from Uniswap. And the protocol is high efficient also on pumps and dumps. So what happened in February, we got a huge dump, like over 20-30% of price drop. And the 1-inch liquidity protocol earned half of the fees compared to Uniswap. But Uniswap had double of the liquidity and had 6 times more volume. So it was really high efficient in this case. We are also working on several other topics. There are also teams who are joining to 1-inch network in the next time. There are some discussions with the foundation. So foundation offers grants for teams who would like to join the 1-inch network. So, and we are working also on limit order protocol, for example, and multiple times already talked about that, which is more efficient than the current solutions out there. Yeah, this is our next milestone, let's say.
Great, thank you guys. Injective began to delve into a deeper relationship with Orion earlier this year and plans to become an inaugural broker for decentralized derivatives on Orion. Alexei, could you and then Eric kind of briefly go over how this integration would work and how liquidity is bootstrapped on Injective initially?
Sure. So for the context of our broker network, our brokers are decentralized network through which actually orders are executed. Our protocol just governs this network through our staking mechanism, delegated proof of broker. So decentralized broker, so brokers are distributed and decentralized, as I already said. So there is no risk of handling your assets or other stuff. Broker just is a gateway to different sources through which user can execute orders. So while anyone can become a broker, our inaugural brokers are exchanges themselves, and Injective also one of our inaugural broker. Through this integration, we will enable derivatives to users to trade traditional digital assets, some exotic assets or derivatives via Injective. We also plan to leverage Injective cross-chain and bridge solution to further improve our user experience when trading across distinct layer on one protocol. In return, we will provide another point of access to injective assets, enabling for further monetization through transaction fees. Yeah, maybe Eric can add something.
Yeah. So I think the most interesting thing here is that Injective has a very interesting incentive mechanism where essentially if you bring in any type of order, some of the retail flow or some of the institutional flow from a certain endpoint or from a certain node, you get to capture or extract 40% of the fees. And obviously, generally, 40% does kind of take away from all the gas fee that you have to pay in order to include a transaction. But usually, during non-crazy times, that's going to be extremely negligible. I think the most interesting thing here is that so basically, I would say that having Orion on board, especially as someone who can route a lot of volume and a lot of retail or institutional flow over, is going to be extremely exciting for us because there's a clear alignment of incentive. The platform provides exchange fee extraction for Orion, and injective benefits from the new flow of users and potential onboarding customers even more easily.
Sergej, 1inch has been working with multiple players in the industry to provide chain users with high transaction speeds and better swap rates on the market. Could you kind of go over how this is achieved? Also, Uniswap plans to launch V3 later this quarter. So how would that help users of 1inch?
Yeah, how we can achieve the best rates in the market, it's because of our special algorithm. In the beginning, we just split it among different protocols like Uniswap, Kyber, and Bancor. And it was just a split finding the best distribution, for example, 10% on Uniswap, 20% on Kyber, and the rest on the other protocol. So we were able to achieve better rates. So nowadays, what our algo is doing is aggregating all liquidity sources in the DeFi space and finding the best path or multiple paths. So the aggregation protocol supports partial fill feature. That means if you have a complex path, if you're swapping, for example, $100,000 in ETH to USDC, so we based also on the gas price, so it's take also into account the gas costs, and it can go through different markets. This is very important to achieve really best price. It would also work on a centralized exchange, for example, Binance. If you would like, for example, do an exit right now, the price is very nice, and I would like to do an exit on the market without limit orders. So we could actually achieve that by going through different markets. What we are right now doing on Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain. And if one of these paths breaks, and we have two other paths by swapping for example, to having kind of connector tokens, for example, ETH to use to DAI and then to USDC, ETH to WBTC to Aave token and then to USDC, and if both would work and one would fail, it would still work. It wouldn't fail. We will just give back what we were not able to, or the protocol were not able to exchange. This is how this works with the algorithm. Right now we run like 330 servers, really very really expensive servers. But it's worth to provide the best rate on the market. About Uniswap, Uniswap, the idea itself, it's cool. It solves some problems, but there are some trade-offs. So, for example, it is really cool for stable token pairs. So, for example, you can set in the price range of 10% on a stable token pair, USDC DAI. You can sit there and earn a lot, but in the case of Ethereum and DAI, when Ethereum would drop, and would just jump off from these 10% of the price range, then you will just sit with Ethereum, and the price would continue drop all the time. It's also in the reverse direction. That means the people have kind of trade-off with high risk on impairment loss, and this is not really cool. We will see what will happen. We are almost done with the integration. We need to test it, and we are waiting for the mainnet launch. And everyone who is using the the app will benefit from the liquidity from Uniswap v3.
Thanks, Sergej. Eric, both Orion and Injective have integrated with the Huobi eco chain. Injective works with Heco to accelerate cross-chain derivatives adoption. And I know that Injective's engineering team has started to test smart contracts on top of Huobi as the first team to utilize the Heco chain. What is the end goal of this, and what opportunities can this integration bring to Injective users? And then, Alexei, it would be great if you could also share about your collaboration with Heco as well.
Yeah, I think like just in general for these kind of exchange-backed chains, there's a very natural flow of users that are very much trading focused, and basically, generally for exchange, they would try to onboard their user as much as possible from the exchange user base into the DeFi user base. So that's a very natural flow of kind of like a user acquisition or community acquisition that we really want to capture. So the reason why we want to work so deeply with Heco and the greater Huobi ecosystem is to kind of collaborate and bring forth our derivative markets and our specialty in derivatives to kind of marry that with the Huobi Heco community, so that like the users on Heco still has the DeFi exposure, can still attain exposure to derivative products that are fully decentralized, and at the same time benefit Injective.
So yeah, what I can add to our collaboration with Heco, we in Orion from day one tried to be chain agnostic protocol. So we already have integrated Binance Smart Chain, Ethereum. Now we're working on integrating Cardano, Avalanche, Elrond, and Heco, and even more chains to be announced. So our integration with Heco goes beyond the terminal itself. Through our development of Orion in this, NFT aggregator, we're offering, so we will offering trading not also tokens, assets, but also NFT. So Orion NFT aggregator will bring will be built on Heco chain to drive accessibility and volume of H series NFT. This will provide an additional point of access to these listed assets, driving significant volume to the marketplace and visibility to sellers. So we will collaborate on the launch of upcoming H series NFT through significant cross-marketing, PR, while showcasing new NFT launches within the premium features section on Orion Terminal. So it will be the special section for trading NFT and the NFT tokens on Orion Terminal.
Thanks, guys. So all of you have been working together and contributing a lot to move the DeFi sector forward. Compared to 1 or 2 years ago, what would you say are some of the challenges that remain in this sector? What are major changes or improvements within it, and how do these changes impact your respective user bases? Sergej, we can start with you this time, and then Alexei and Eric.
We have still the problem with the performance of the blockchain and the costs. Actually, when we started with one issue in the hackathon, the gas costs were like really small, and right now this is a huge problem. So we are waiting for the layer 2 solutions, for example, ZK Snarks, Optimism starting as well. There are also kind of side chains like Binance Smart Chain. Also near today, I guess today they launched their near Rainbow Bridge, which allows to move the tokens. There are still problems with the usability. There's still no wallet which sent me a message here on my Apple Watch and says, okay, on a swap on a DApp. Okay, you're swapping this amount to this amount, and I can be sure this is true and not manipulated. What we have seen, what happens with one of the famous DeFi protocol co-founder, which lost a lot of money because someone hacked his computer and made a master just show the call data and not prove that this is really what happened in the in the transaction. Yeah, yeah, that's it from my side.
Yeah, echoing on the point for the whole issue with Ethereum gas fee and block time and stability issue. Basically, one of the things we noticed, especially during the incentivized staking, is that for a lot of users to onboard into Injective Chain because of the high gas cost, it's no longer worth it for them to even deposit, let's say, less than 50 or 40 INJ, because specifically for the reason that the gas cost that's around $20 to $50 is completely not worth it for the yield. So I think that's going to be a limiting factor for a lot of the DeFi transaction and the DeFi user base, is that it almost becomes a game for the rich in a sense where your minimum trade size, your minimum transaction is baked into the gas fee. But this is why we work on Injective, to create these extremely low gas environment, to create these gas-free trading experience and a very fast finality, so that once the users have onboarded onto Injective, they can completely enjoy like a fast, seamless, and gas-free experience in trading. And this is why I'm so excited to work with a lot of aggregators in the space to make sure that the users can onboard without even interacting with the Injective user interface, and instead make one-shot transactions that establish a position from the Ethereum end through these aggregators.
Yeah, in my opinion, fragmentation is still the most critical issue in blockchain space. I mean, fragmentation not only liquidity across different exchanges, but also interoperability between different blockchains. Also cross-chain systems are gaining traction right now. I believe that industry is still too silent to evolve to the state of full interoperability. So without solutions that sit in the middle of these different blockchains, different exchanges, it's difficult to reach this point. That's why aggregators like we are here to solve these problems. So we just 6 days from launch, but we plan to aggregate the industry of aggregate to actually many blockchains and exchanges in one place. So only solving this fragmentation of industry can we build a protocol on which to connect crypto and to connect crypto to traditional finance and make it more accessible to users.
Great, thanks everyone. That's the end of my questions. So now I'd like to just open up the floor and allow you guys to talk to each other about anything that we may have missed that you think would be important for the community today.
I would like to add in general that the whole DeFi space is about composability, and we should take care that we when we move to another chain, that the compatibility is still there. For example, like layer 2 solutions like Optimism and ZK Snark is a kind of a bridge between right now and Ethereum 2.0. And from my point of view, Ethereum 2.0 is the only one solution, or maybe the Ethereum killer can be only Ethereum itself. So how I see that. So what do you think, guys?
I think that's a general issue for like L2 solutions, and that's especially the case for Optimism, where the withdrawal period is 1 week. You could go for a futures approach on Optimism to make the withdrawal period faster, but the real lag or like the real clearing process is still 1 week. So I would say like one thing that we're going to notice and one thing we're going to see is that there's going to be a lot of projects and protocols kind of like isolate themselves within the DeFi ecosystem by onboarding every single isolated L2 solution. And even for Optimism, right? Once a single operator kind of like maximizes their capacity, there's going to be multiple operators, and what's the interoperability between those operators, and what's the interoperability between the ZK Stark, ZK Rollup, and also the Optimism ones. So I think that's just going to be an issue that we're going to have to live with in general with regards to composability between these L2 solutions. It's kind of a trade-off between speed and efficiency, and composability. It's kind of the same issue that we have to face within a traditional finance, anyways. So I think it's not really like a problem that we always. It's not really like a problem that we're not used to outside of crypto. I think there are a lot of steps that we can do to make it better. I would say that Phantom Bridge is actually a pretty decent example in the sense that you can attach Ethereum events onto a Phantom with all the callbacks, so you can make one-shot transactions from Ethereum that can execute a certain instruction on Phantom and kind of bring it back. We're kind of doing similar things on Injective as well to make sure that there are atomic transactions that are enabled that can be sent from Ethereum and even brought back from Ethereum all within one transaction. I think those are steps to ensure that the user experience and composability is more tightly coupled to Ethereum. But I would say that in the short term, it's still extremely difficult to solve this kind of like a lonely island solution.
Yeah, in my opinion, actually, for sure, the need for level 2 solution is huge. But we're also analyzing different solutions to implement Orion. But unfortunately, there are always pros and cons. There's no one bulletproof for everything. So, in my opinion, the blockchains will be segmented by users. So, for example, if you want to execute some big swap or big transactions, transaction fee is not, it doesn't really matter here. So you can use Ethereum, for example. Yeah, but for small trading, for high frequency trading, for sure, it's better to use some side chains, high performance side chains, which already exist on the market. But there are always problems with bridges, which are centralized or semi-centralized, or some other problems can be with bridges, because obviously it's more complicated solutions, and each additional of each services just add more point of failure. So yeah, in my opinion, we just need to better segment our users and provide them solutions with what they really need. So yeah.
All right, thanks so much again, guys. And thanks to everyone for tuning into our AMA today, and to our panelists for sharing their expertise. We enjoyed catching up and look forward to next time.